Every songwriter has stared at that blank page, paralysed by creative doubt and wondering how to get the ball rolling on a new song. Well, we're going to talk through 5 proven methods that are going to unlock your creativity, taking you from frustrated to flow. Hey songwriters, my name's Celine and I hear from other songwriters all the time telling me how frustrated they get trying to start a new song. It could be for many reasons. I'm a firm believer in creating variety in your songwriting so that you never get stuck. And with these 5 methods I'm going to talk through now, you'll be starting your next song in no time. So let's get into it. First of all, I know you know that the title is one of the most important elements of a song. But did you know that you can actually write a song from a title? It's actually how a lot of working songwriters do it. They take a title or a hook and they note it down in a notebook or on a notes app on their phone. You might not be familiar with the term hook book, that's what I call mine, but it's just simply that. As you're out and about in your day-to-day lives, you can kind of get these inspirational ideas and just jot them down for titles. When you start a new song from a title or a hook, you start with the core message right up front, which is really important. It also really helps you focus on what your song is about right from the get-go, and it narrows down any decisions that you need to make about what your song is about as you're writing. What I like to do when I write from a title is to develop 2, maybe 3 ideas of what that song can be about. I always do this because I don't like to go with the first idea I have. It's the most obvious, quite possibly might have been written before, and often option number 2 and 3 are a lot more interesting. So what I do is I just jot down 1, maybe 2 sentences about what I think the song is going to be about relevant to that title, ensuring I've got the core message in there, and then I use that when I've decided which one I want to use to start my song. Next up is writing prompts. Now these can come in many shapes and forms, from one-word prompts, short phrases, even sometimes images or melodic motifs. Using writing prompts is an amazing way to start new songs, and sometimes you can even get away with using the same prompt to write another song. Same as with the titles, I try and write down 2 or maybe 3 ideas of what the song could be about based on the writing prompt. And from there, I pick my favourite and off I go. But also the same, I try and not pick the first one. I want to get some variety and some distance from the obvious in my songs. Now prompts can come in many shapes and forms, as I mentioned. They could be highly specific, or they can also be fairly vague, giving you so many more options. I much prefer specific prompts, one-word prompts especially, such as bonfire or robbery. These are the prompts I kind of gravitate to when I want to try out a new technique or practice one I've tried before, so I want to narrow that specificity down so I can focus on the technique. Now there's still lots of opportunity to explore with prompts like this, but it does mean I can jump straight into writing the song, focusing on the technique, not having to spend some time wondering what I'm going to be writing about. A less specific prompt though might be something like use an opening line from a book to inspire your song. This might take me a little bit of time to start researching opening lines of books. I might grab some off my own shelf and start reading through them. It's not something that I'm going to jump into straight away. But what I can do is use that to research. Maybe I could do some journaling to get some ideas and start some inspiration. It's a longer form prompt for me. Because of the lack of specificity, it does open itself up to creative paralysis if you're having too many decisions to make. But it also can be really, really useful to allow you to kind of explore a totally different avenue to something you've maybe tried before. Now number 3 might be a little bit controversial. I like to start new songs using chord progressions, but more specifically chord progressions that I've borrowed from songs I've heard. Now this is where it gets controversial because a lot of songwriters really struggle with this concept. They don't really enjoy doing this, they don't think it's original, but there's only so many chords in a key. There's only so many chords that will play next to each other to be a pleasing sound. And you can't copyright chord progressions. It's like the paints that an artist uses. There's only so many colours, there's only so many chords. So borrow a chord progression, make it your own, and use it to start a song. Even Taylor Swift has written 21 songs that she's released. Never mind how many she's written that we haven't heard. 21 songs using the same chord progression. Now, if that doesn't tell you that it's okay to do it, I don't know what else is. Now, if you don't know much about chord theory or don't even play an instrument yourself, this shouldn't really be holding you back. There's many published common chord progressions that you can pick from and use in your songs. What I like to do is when I hear an awesome chord progression, I write it down in my songwriting notebook or make a note of the song itself so I can work out the chords later. And the way I like to do this is by using an app on my iPhone by Canadian producer and songwriter Rob Wells called Songwriters Piano. The app is brilliant for when I don't have my guitar handy, and even sometimes when I do. It gives you all the chords in the major key as well as the relative minor key, which you can change in the top right hand corner, and it allows you to see all the chords in that key and play them. I will leave a link down in the description if you want to investigate that app a little bit more. Okay, so this next one is interesting, and that is to start a song from an emotion. Hear me out, it's not as difficult as it sounds. When you start a song from an emotion or a feeling, you really capture it and exaggerate it almost within the song when you write it. I did a co-write recently with a friend of mine, and he walked into the room, he was late, and he just kind of said to me after throwing his stuff on the sofa, "Can we just write an angry song?" And I love this idea. What he then told me was on his way here, he'd been cut up while driving, somebody had bumped his car and drove off, and in his own kind of frustrations had got a speeding ticket where a camera had flashed him on the way to my house to start this co-write. So I imagine he was pretty angry. Now the song itself wasn't about an angry driver, thank goodness, but we used that emotion to fuel our songwriting session. That was actually the first time that I'd ever used an emotion to start a song, but I found it really powerful. We emphasised it right from the word go, and the emotion and the feeling of the anger really came across in the final song. So to start a song like this, as with the titles and the writing prompts, you take your emotion, let's stick with angry, and you brainstorm some ideas about what kind of people are angry and what makes them angry. What do angry people say or do? And then you start that ball rolling for what then you can focus on as the concept and synopsis for what the song is going to be about. Now, last but not least, number 5 is to start with what you know. And this sounds so simple and so crazy, but actually it's something that a lot of people I find forget about. It's the things that happen to you on a daily basis can be really inspiring to start a song as long as you're open to them. It's actually really easy to overlook your life and your experiences and what's been happening around you to the people that you love, your friends, your family. It's not as trivial as you think and can be a really great way to start a new song. When I want to write a song like this about my own personal experiences, I reflect on my own journal writing from days, weeks, whatever it might take to spark an idea for a song. If journaling doesn't help me spark a song idea, I think about some of the conversations that I've had recently. For example, a friend of mine turned 45 at the end of last year, and her and another friend of ours were having a three-way conversation about the uneventful thing that a 45-year-old birthday is. And one of our friends actually turned around and said, well, you know what happens now, you're 45, things just start going faster. And then someone else made a reference to vinyl records and how vinyl records, 45s, they span faster than albums at 33 RPM, 45 RPM, etc. And I just absolutely exploded with creative ideas and had to get my notebook at that moment. I had to explain to them, I've got to go, I've got to write this stuff down, because if I don't write it down, then I don't remember it. But this is another great way of how a conversation can inspire a song. There are so many things around us on a daily basis. If we're just open to listening and to observing and to getting in touch with our inner kind of creative sense, we'll have so many ideas for writing songs. So there we have it, my 5 methods for starting a brand new song. Thanks for sticking with me to the end, and I hope you found something useful out of this video. I would like to know though if you think that I've missed an important way to start a new song, and if you want to drop it into the comments, I'll kind of see you there. Oh, and before I go, this is the video here that YouTube thinks that you guys are going to love next, so I'll see you over there.